Welcome. You're listening to the Evolvepreneur Secret Show for entrepreneurs, and I'm your host, Brian Silverthorne. And my mission is to always help entrepreneurs make a difference in their businesses and to navigate the sometimes messy worlds of startup, growth, or relaunch. And today we're going to dig deep with our special guest and get you the best concepts and strategies to fast track your business. And our special guest today is Renée Hasseldine. And Renee is the founder of Think RAPT, of the Think RAPT system. And rather than try and explain it, I'm going to introduce her and let you do it. Welcome to the show, Renee.
Hi, Brian. So great to be here. Thanks for having me.
You bet. So why don't we get started? If you could tell us a little bit about what got you to where you are, how you developed the Think RAPT system, and what it does for people.
Absolutely. So, well, maybe hard to believe for anyone once they've met me, but I actually did commerce arts at university and was on track to be an accountant. But after a couple of years in the corporate world, I realized that it wasn't really the right fit for me. I felt like I was a caged hen and I needed to escape. So about 21 years ago, I left that world, started my own business and became a consultant. And that's what I did for many, many years. And it was actually one of my clients quite a few years ago sort of said to me, you know, what you do is great, but you got to start scaling it, because I was still stuck trading time for money as a consultant, really. And I think that client regrets giving me that advice all those years ago, because then I dumped him to go and scale my own business. So I, about, in 2015, I wrote my first book. And at that time, I was working with clients to help them pull all the information out of their head and help them to turn it into, to productize it, basically. Because it's, you know, the irony was that I was doing for all these clients, I was helping them to scale, but I wasn't doing that for myself, right? I was the consultant going in, working on their intellectual property, helping them to productize. But in my own business, I was still doing that in trading time for money. So I wrote my book at the time. And it was all, you know, had the 7 stages to help people to productize. And in that book, the 4th stage was all about this turning your intellectual property into visual models. And when I wrote that chapter, the first draft of it anyway, I'd sort of said, well, take what's in your head and put it into visual models. Full stop, end of chapter. Move on to the next chapter. And, you know, of course, the first readers of the book are going, Renee, you might want to expand on that a bit. And I'm like, what do you mean? You just do it. Like, isn't it obvious how you do that? And they're like, no, it's not obvious. And I was like, oh, but that's just what I do. And then that was my sort of aha moment, my realization that thing that was so intuitive and so natural and easy for me was not obvious to everybody else. And that was my zone of genius. And from there, I realized that, you know, that sort of throwaway line that was the first draft of that chapter is now my whole business, my whole business. So I set about working to make what was intuitive and instinctive to me explicit so that anybody could do it. And that's all we do now. The Think RAPT system takes what is in between someone's ears and turns it into 4 visual models so that they can productize and also to pitch and promote their businesses. And that's what the Think RAPT system does in 4 pictures.
Oh, excellent. Can you tell me a little bit more about what a visual model is?
Yes. And, you know, it's not great for podcasts. I actually had a podcast for 3 years and then realized this doesn't make sense to me because I'm very visual. So maybe we can make sure in the show notes that we have a link to show people what it actually looks like, because it obviously is very, very visual. But in essence, what we want to do in a visual model is clearly and succinctly communicate your message, because we are bombarded with information all day, every day, right? But our brains love visual. That's how we've evolved. You know, see lion, run, you know? So our brains really respond to visual information. And if we want to capture our audience's attention by using a visual image that communicates our message quickly, we can grab their attention and hold on to that attention so that they can understand actually the complexity. So the 4 visual models that we use, so each of them has a different job. And think about this, for those of you listening, think about these 4 letters, R-A-P-T. So we've got the acronym RAPT. And the first model that you want to create for your business is called the results model. So the purpose of this model is to show your audience the gap between the results that they're getting and the results that they want. So you could do this in a number of ways. You could kind of tell a hero's journey kind of story, for example, if you're working with startups. So, you might sort of tell the hero's journey story of a typical startup that is one of your clients and use that to tell a case study, right? But have it represented visually. And on that model, you might have icons to represent KPIs, your key performance indicators. You might have dollar signs for the money and clocks for the time and things like that. But essentially, you want to be showing them visually what the journey looks like. And that would be your results model. The second model you want to create is the answers model. Now, this one is, as the expert, you need to give your audience the answers to the problems that they're currently facing. So to create this model, you're going to diagnose and think, well, what are all the issues? What are the challenges? What are the obstacles my audience face? And then as the expert, what are the solutions to those things? If my clients have this, 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 and this, they will be successful. So these essentially are the key success factors or the success criteria. Your clients you need this, you need this, you need this, you need this. If you have these things in place, you will be successful. And that's your answers model. Then your third model is your process model. This is how do you actually work with your clients? So this is your step-by-step process to get your clients from A to B. And this is all about actions and doing. So essentially, the process model forms the basis of your service delivery or your package, or if you're running online courses or workshops, the modules in that program. And so, you want between 3 and 7 steps, and you want to use verbs in this model because you want to be showing that we're actually doing things. We're taking action, right? So step 1, we do this. Step 2, we do this. Step 3, we do this, to give our clients that absolute certainty that we know what we're doing. We've got a clear path forward. We're going to get them out of pain, and we've got guaranteed results because we know this process works every single time, right? So that is your process model. And then the fourth and final model is target model. And that one is, what are the key benefits that we're targeting? And this is this answers the $1 million what's in it for me question, right? By following this process, you get this, you get this, you get this, boom. And so you want to have three benefits in your target model, maximum 4 if you have to stretch it. But really, because when you have these 4 models, they form the basis of your pitching, your keynote presentations, your workshops, every program that you do. Want to write a book? You can write it very, very quickly if you've got these 4 models created, because you just speak to them. So that is the Think RAPT system, those 4 models.
Wow, that is extremely fascinating. I've never looked at it that way before. I've looked at what you described with each letter of your acronym there, but not from a visual perspective. So I think that would be a huge help. So how are you in your business in achieving what you need in this RAPT model? Have you figured out how to get from what you have to what you want, and how you're going to do all of that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We walk our talk. We have we have these models for our own business. We use them to communicate with our own clients. We've very much set this system up now so that, we believe that the Think RAPT system has huge potential globally. And, we want it to be on the tip of everyone's lips in the same way that design thinking or agile is, that it is really widely adopted as a system because it has such huge application in so many different contexts. So, for us, we have our Craft Your Pitch product where people can jump on the website and go through our self-paced system to create their own 4 model system, right? So they can do that themselves. So that's our DIY option, which we also make sure that they get a one-on-one feedback session with a licensee to make sure that there's that quality control. Because the thing is that, and I found this myself, is that when I'm creating these visual models for my own business, I get stuck in my own little loops. I'm like, oh, but that can, and so you need someone else to look at it and go, yes, Renee, that makes sense. Or no, that's not, you haven't nailed it. You need someone else outside of your head to give you that honest feedback. So that's why we make sure that we always have that quality control built in. And then the other sort of our big, how do we have global domination with this Think RAPT system, is that we have a licensing model. So we are licensing experts around the world to be certified specialists in the Think RAPT system. And so we train them to do that, and then they are licensed to use this model with their own clients. And that's essentially that's how we take this to the world.
Well, that's great. That's an excellent way to do things like that. Licensing is a great benefit to spread the word once you get the right people that have qualified to receive that license.
Yes.
So what does your ideal, well, I guess you kind of have two clients here. You've got a client that uses your system and a client that would become a licensee.
Yes.
So what do those ideal clients look like, and how do they find you?
Yes. So the ideal client, I guess, for Craft Your Pitch is usually are a startup, or they are a very small service-based business. We usually have, they're often consultants or coaches in some way, but they are, in a service-based industry, and often they're trading time for money, and they want to move out of that. That usually is who is attracted to Craft Your Pitch, because they're stuck in that challenge of, and this is a challenge that I used to face as well in that same position. Our ideal client is ourselves back, 10, 20 years ago. And I used to struggle with, I don't want to sell myself. When you are the consultant and you are the product, then when you're selling to someone, you need to sell yourself. And that can, for me anyway, that felt very uncomfortable. I didn't, maybe it's an Australian thing, but, we have this tall poppy syndrome. We don't want to talk ourselves up too much, just kind of. Whereas when you create a Think RAPT system, when you create, when you productize what it is that you're offering, then you can sell the system. Then you can sell that as a product. And I find that a lot more comfortable, because I can talk about how great the system is and how great the product is without trying to big note myself. It gives you that sort of one step removed. And to me, as a reluctant salesperson, I find that a lot more comfortable. So, I guess it is those entrepreneurs, but who are reluctant salespersons, who really love their product, who really love their craft, but aren't so comfortable with that sales and marketing side. This really does solve that problem. So that's kind of the ideal client for that, I guess. Licensees, okay. Yeah. So the licensees are more of they are established businesses. They are usually marketing specialists in some way, because they can then see how this plugs in as an additional revenue stream to their existing marketing business. And, they are a great fit to be licensees. And we've found, we've had licensees who are not necessarily marketing specialists, but the ones who go boom and get an ROI really, really quickly are the ones who are already experts in marketing, because they just take it and run. Okay,
got it. So how do those folks find you?
If they go to thinkrapt.com, they'll find all of the buttons on the homepage to direct them in the right place.
Well, what attracts them or drives them to your website? Do you have an active marketing program of your own, or are you using social media or other forms to attract those people, or all of the above?
All of the above. So we've recently just started, actually, for the first time ever, really, doing paid advertising. But we also have a very active social media, mostly content marketing going on, because the Think RAPT system itself actually helps you to craft that content marketing, the constant need for content marketing. The Think RAPT system helps you to formulate content over a long time. So yeah, we've basically got that going on. And the paid advertising, we also obviously our licensees are bringing to us their clients. So we have that as well. We have an affiliate system that also, promotes. I do lots of speaking gigs, podcasts as well. And so those sorts of things bring people to the website. And usually when they come, so, in terms of lead magnets and things, the things that are attracting people, I guess, are, we have a scorecard where people can evaluate their own pitching and proposal system. And we also have a video series which educates people about the visual models, so that, and that's both those two things are free, so that people can learn more about the Think RAPT system. And so, basically in terms of the sales funnel is that we drive our traffic to those two lead magnets. And then from there, we have a follow-up email sequence, and then there's the call to action. So, in terms of, we have a very simplified funnel now, Brian. We've been through the stages of way overcomplicating. And I'm sure some of the audience have had a similar experience. It becomes, there is so much advice and you think, oh, but I need one of these and I need one of those shiny things. And, oh, someone else is doing this. Maybe I should do that too. But we've really stripped it back. And we find that if we can do a couple of things extremely well, that works a lot better for us.
Yeah, I understand that. If you get too many things going at once, you don't give them any of them the just due that they need.
Yes.
So you have to take the time to figure out the ones that are the best fit for what you're doing. Yes. So with all of this going on, what's the best piece of advice you've ever given one of your clients?
Oh, look, I'm biased, Brian, but I would say get visual.
Okay.
Get visual. That to me is so important, because we are bombarded with information all day, every day. Yeah. And we are overwhelmed. And if we are, so is our audience. And we need to find a way to cut through. So by getting visual, you're going to speak to our brains the way that they've evolved. And, just think, see lion, run. That's what your audience's brain is doing. So make a lion that makes them want to run, but towards you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm with you on the being visual here. We even speak visually sometimes. That like you're just not seeing what I'm saying, right? Or
yes.
Like, listen to what I'm saying. So if you can make it visual, I'm sure it helps tremendously.
Absolutely.
So when you're in your business, what you got going, you're doing paid advertising. So do you have like any 12-month revenue goals for your business that you shoot for?
We're hoping to, our goal is to be a $10 million business. And we believe we'll achieve that in the next sort of 5 years or so. And, with the licensing model, that's the way that we believe that we're going to get there. And, I think it's really doable. Yeah.
Well, you got to believe it's doable or you'll never get there. So that's an important part.
And, well, the accountant in me, of course, needs to put it all in a spreadsheet.
Yeah. Just a quick
and the spreadsheet says yes.
Good. There you go. Then you got to make the spreadsheet work.
That's right. And that's, and I think, you asked me about the best advice, and I'd say, 21 years in business, and I realize now that I was trying to force myself for many years to be somebody I'm not, because I'm really great at the systems and the organizing and the making things happen. I'm really very much a get things done person, but I am not a sales and marketing person. And for many years, I tried to force myself to be that person in my business. And it's only really in the last few years that I've given myself permission to bring in team members that complement who I am and what I do. So I think the worst thing that I've done in terms of team in some ways is hire people who are exactly like me, because that doesn't fill the gaps.
Yeah, it's you got to hire a bunch of smart people that love the things that you don't love, but they're necessary to your business.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's
Yes.
good. That's good. Well, listen, you got a lot of positive things going here to help you to get to that $10 million goal. Do you see any major roadblock that might be preventing you from getting there?
I think having the right person on the team. We are currently looking for someone to be that business partner who is the complementary person to the business, and bringing that person in, and that, I want that person to be someone who will love this business as their own. And I think once I find that person, then we're good to go.
So you're actively seeking then, I would imagine.
Yes. Yes,
So do
absolutely.
you have a description of what the characteristics of that individual might be? You don't have to share them with me, but a lot of times that when I've helped people in the past, they're looking for the right person, but when I asked them to describe what that right person looks like, they have trouble doing it.
I have written a job description. I have, yes, absolutely. But so there's the skills and the experience that I'm looking for, uh, which will be complementary to what I have. So, as you say, filling those gaps, the bits that are my weaknesses and the bits that I hate doing. I really want that person to be that. And I think even equally as important, I would say, is the values alignment, because we are in the final stages of becoming a B Corp, and we are, very committed to being, for doing business for good. And we want to make sure that whoever comes onto the team shares that belief and will prioritize our values as well, and make sure, we donate 5% of our revenue to our charity partner. And, I want that to continue whether I'm in the business or not. So I think as part of our sort of succession planning and all that sort of thing as well, is making sure that anyone who's in the business believes in that too, and wants to do business and wants to work for something that's more meaningful than just making money.
Yeah, well, good on you for doing that, because I've seen too many disasters with a complete and thorough job description, but there was a misfit when it comes to values and purpose
Yeah.
of the organization, and so it's very important to consider those as well. So let's talk about your book a little bit. You wrote it in 2015.
Well, this is actually book 3 that I've got up in front of me. So I wrote
Ah,
this one in. Now I need to remember. I think this one was released in 2021. I should know what year they all blur into one. By the time I got to my 3rd book, Brian, I was like, which one am I up to? I got lost count. It was 2021. I wrote Get Visual, and we've got a special offer actually for your audience. If they go to thinkrapt.com/offer, they can get a copy of this book for free. They just need to use the coupon code Brian on checkout, and they will get
oh,
a free book.
wow! I just got elevated to a coupon code. I don't know if that's ever happened before.
They will always
Um,
remember your name now.
yeah, well, thank you. So what's the primary purpose in writing your books? Are you using them to attract new business or
Yeah, I
to,
mean, absolutely. I mean, I think of books like this as a business card on steroids. This is really your, for me, I mean, this is our 4 models written out into a book. I talked about earlier when I explained the Think RAPT system, those 4 models. An expert-based book can be written very, very quickly when you've got those 4 models done. And so I wrote this book in 3 days.
oh, wow.
And that's the longest I've taken to write any of my books, mind you. But the reason I can write it so quickly is when, if for any aspiring authors who are listening, is once you've got those 4 models created for your business, run a half-day workshop on Zoom and use those 4 models as the structure of your workshop. Record that half-day workshop, get it transcribed, and then 3 days writing your book is cleaning up the transcription, basically, because you don't want to reinvent the wheel, right? Your IP is already crafted, your IP is already structured. So you can write a book that has your key messages in it very, very quickly and clearly and succinctly as well. You know, our audience doesn't want to read a 40,000 word book, right? They're happy to read something that they can digest really quickly, and put your models in it.
Yeah,
So
that's excellent. That's the lazy person's way to write a book. I like it.
Lazy person's way to write a book. That's how I've written 3.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So have any of them become bestsellers?
All 3 of them have been bestsellers. Absolutely. Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah. So they're all bestsellers. They get rave reviews. People love the books. And, you know, one of the things that I'm really committed to is adding value, whether people, you know, get a free copy of the book or whether they, you know, come and work with me. And, you know, some people might give the advice and say, oh, when you're doing your marketing, you know, you tell them why they need you and what they need, but don't tell them how until they give you money. And I think the Think RAPT system is the antithesis of that, because we answer all of the questions with the 4 models when we're giving the information. And I think that needs to come from an abundance mindset where we just know that there's actually so much more in my brain, like, than I can give you in 4 pictures. And if you're feeling fearful about giving away the how, then I think you just need to be honest with yourself about how much more that you really do know. You know, if you've got 20 years of experience doing what you do, there's no way that you can tell them everything you know in one book. So, right. You know, don't be afraid to tell them the how. They're still going to come to you if they're the ideal client.
Good. Well, this has been extremely interesting. I one quick aside about accounting. My brother was an accounting major in college, and he ended up being an Air Force pilot for a number of years and a commercial pilot for a number of years. But
he was seeking more adventure too.
Yeah. And I was a math major, and I've never done anything except math is underlying for all kinds of things. But
yeah.
We
can nerd out on maths then, Brian, because maths was my favorite subject in high school.
Yeah.
And my best subject.
Yeah, it's always, I didn't do it for any noble purpose. It was just easy for me. So that
ditto.
That's how it worked out. Yeah. Well, listen, this has been extremely enjoyable. We're getting toward the end here. You got any final thoughts for our audience?
Final thoughts. Gosh, that's always a challenging question, isn't it? I would just grab the book. Grab the book. You will not regret it. It is for free. Go to thinkrapt.com/offer. Use Brian as your coupon code. He's going to love that. And you'll learn more, and you'll be actually able to see lots of examples of visual models and how they work and implement it in your business.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And as I said, this was a very enjoyable half hour for me. I hope for you too. And there was some great information imparted for our audience, and I appreciate it.
Thanks, Brian. Thank you so much for having me.
You bet.